Alright, so the next part of the best base locations. So this time I'm covering pure quartz and oil. They don't really intersect with each other so well. Pure quartz is, you start using it at level 35, mostly for just some circuit boards. You also use pure quartz itself in a little bit of research, but mostly you're using a pretty limited amount to build those first like power generators, assembly lines and stuff like that. So you really don't need a base for it that early on. So you can use this location here. There's 5 quartz nodes in this low level area, pretty close to Lily's Tower, right here on Frostbound Mountain. So if you want to build a base here, that's fine. It's not exactly a great base location, it's a little bit hilly. So you can pretty much just go here at a low level, or level 35 rather, when you start using pure quartz, and manually mine this if you want to, or build a base here. But overall, I don't really recommend it as a base location. And also, like, since you're using a pretty limited amount of quartz at this early stage, you're not really using it as like a consumable until level 55 when you start using it for missile ammo. And at that point, you do have a pure quartz mine. But you can build a base in one of the pure quartz locations that I will be showing in this video, just to build up a nice stock, similar to how I recommended you did with Sulfur. Just build a base, keep it up for a couple of days, build up a stock of circuit boards so you can build those first structures and do the research that you want with it. So moving on to some more proper base locations. So all the other pure quartz locations are somewhere on Astral Mountain, and you won't be able to find like a good location with a lot of other resources. So I recommend using this spot here on this cliff. Once you do visit it the first time, it's similar to that first mountain over here where you use coal and ore. You go up, you might have to defeat some sort of enemy, or nearly every time there's going to be some sort of enemy that you need to defeat. Sometimes it's a chill pal. You can just build, like if it's a Mamorest or something, you can just build your pal box and then teleport out and teleport back, and you won't have anything to really fight. If you want to build this base at like level 35 and don't feel comfortable taking on some of these level 40 plus pals, you can just like fly back and forth until there's like a Mammoth Crest or something that doesn't attack you, build your base, teleport away, teleport back, and there won't be anything here. But this is one spot I do like, as can be seen by a bunch of beds. It's a spot I used a lot until we got the pure quartz site just to supply my missile ammo. It's got the most amount of nodes. I think it has 9 quartz nodes and the others will be like 8, 7, 6. So it doesn't really have anything else going for it. There is a predator spawn here. And it's actually here right now. So you can also like use your base pals to fight the predator pal. That's my dog. He just woke up. He howls in his sleep. So this spot is pretty nice to use. It's got the most nodes. You got the predator pal close by. Not really a whole lot else going on for it. Got a dungeon as well if you want to start farming some of those Asian tech points. The dungeon is pretty nice. The Astral Mountain has the most amount of, or the highest drop rate for Asian tech points. That's pretty good for that. So moving on to some other spots. We have this spot on the hill here. It's a little bit more of a budget spot, probably if this spot is taken for you. It does have a chest spawn, but it's a little bit hilly. You probably want to block these 2 ore nodes with something like a bed or a flower pot or anything. And then you'll have some enemy pals spawning nearby, so it's not like a perfect base location compared to this cliff over here that I showed previously, where once you do build a base, it's just up on a cliff, very safe. If you do go for like a level 35 build, you will have to deal with some more aggressive pals, maybe some of those enemy humans with the laser rifles. But overall, it's a decent budget location. I think you got 8 or 7 here. I think it's supposed to be 8 quartz, pure quartz here. And then the chest. And then not a whole lot else. You do have a predator pal here as well, but you can't like drag it into your base pals to get some help from them. There is a dungeon. It's pretty decent as like a travel point. So that's one thing it's got going for it. It's pretty far away from most of the fast travel locations. But the next spot I will be showing is even better for that. So this spot right here, it's near Frostalion. It's not really close to anything else useful, but it is pretty flat compared to other the previous base location. There doesn't seem to be like the same amount of enemy spawns as well. We got 2 here, but if you build your pal box like here somewhere, you probably won't have to deal with the spawn. You got a junk pile spawning here. Let's see if we get lucky. We're in dog coins. Yeah, some dog coins, ultra spheres. You can also get some circuit boards and stuff like that. So this is like also probably mostly for multiplayer saves, or if you just don't want to use the most common spots. Like this is the main one I recommend. This spot is also decent, but the last spot now I will be showing does have a little bit of a benefit. Alright, so this is the last spot, and it does have a skill fruit tree. So you got the skill fruit tree here, and then you got these pure quartz nodes up on the hill. So it's not like a very easy base to build around due to the sheer steepness of this cliff. It used to be, I'm not sure if it's an issue anymore, that quartz would fall through the ground at this location. But I have seen some very impressive builds from people that do use this build location. Sadly, like the trees on Astro Mountain, the desert, and Mount Obsidian, they just have pretty bad fruits. Like the starting area, you get Lightning Streak, Sakurajima, and Feybreak, you get all those nice air blades and beam slicers. But until we get like a rebalance of the skills, there's nothing super good here that you want from the skill fruit trees. And now that we have the plantations, it's even less worth. But it is worth considering, like just at level 35 or something, building your base here to collect some skill fruit trees. You can use the higher level gathering pals to get double fruits. Just to start building something up, like a little stash. You got a dungeon right here as well. Again, for those Asian tech points to just visit once it's open. But it can be a little bit tricky to build here, and the fruits aren't great. But the plantation tree is unlocked pretty late. You can get something like Lizard Spike, which is always nice. But overall, it's not as useful as it used to be, like pre-Sakurajima and pre-Feybreak. But it is a good option as well for a base. So moving on to oil. Alright, so this is the only triple oil node location. So it's probably the one that everybody's gonna be using, at least until they move to Feybreak, once they do have a little bit of oil stashed up. So I apologize for the mess here. It's a base I've been using for a lot of testing, both in regards to electricity and the gold making assembly line. So it's a bit of a mess right now, but you can see that once you do get these double extractors up and running, I got videos on how to do that as well. You get 6 extractors in one base, which ends up being a lot of oil. With all the buffs that they've given oil production, it's around 3 times faster. So having this base isn't necessary anymore. You can use stuff with just one oil extractor or one oil node and get the same amount as you did during Sakurajima with just this base. So really, if you're doing like the oil rigs and you got like one oil node is really all you need. But once you do unlock oil, you start needing a lot of it. It's not like quartz where you need a limited amount. Let's go down here into the tech tree. So you unlock the oil at level 50, same time you unlock the Pure Quarts Mine. You're probably moving one base, probably the one that you had on Pure Quartz or Sulfur or Coal. You're moving that base to some sort of oil base. And then you're going to need a lot of plasteel suddenly. Like everything is using plasteel. You need plasteel for the structures, you need for your weapons, your armor, the saddles. Suddenly you're going to need a lot of it. So you could, like potentially, what you want to do is build your base here. There isn't another triple node spot, so you build it here until you got like a little bit of a stash. And then you can abandon this if you're not playing on 10 bases. If you're playing on default settings, you probably want to abandon this and then move your base down somewhere on Feybreak where you can get one oil node and some hexolite quartz in a base. I'm not going to show all these locations on Sakurajima, but like each of these dark patches, almost all of them have like 2 oil nodes. So it's also a good option if you don't want to build here or if you're in a multiplayer server where this spot is taken. You can just build like on any one of these. I'm not going to show them all. Just go here, check the one that you like. There's nothing really special about them. It's mostly like You can be near a dungeon, you can be near the skill fruit trees if you want that, or near the predator pals. So you can, like, you can build pretty close to a predator pal. It's not something you can probably drag the predator pal into your base, maybe. Not something I've tested. But overall, these double node locations are all the same. And there's a lot of double node locations in the desert as well. You got some on the plateaus, you got some over here. So those are not something that I'm going to show, these double oil node locations. There's just a lot of them. Pick whichever one you like. Not a whole lot of difference to them. So yeah, those are just the options you have for the double node locations. I'm just quickly, it's going to be covered a little bit in the next part as well when I cover hexolite. I'm just going to show 3 quick locations where you can move directly at level 50 and get some hexolite mining going as well early. I'm going to show those quickly as well. Okay, so starting with this location here, next to Warsec Terra, it's the triple hexolite spot that also has 1 oil node. So this oil node, now in Feybreak, with all the research and the buffs that oil has been given, one base, like with 1 oil node, equals what this base produced during Sakurajima. So you will be fine at level 50, just skipping the triple oil node spot and moving directly to one of these. So this is the main one, but it's probably going to be occupied on a multiplayer save. It's a popular spot because it's the only triple hexolite spot, and then just has an oil node just to rub it in. So I'm going to cover 2 more optional spots as well. So this is also one. It has 2 hexolite and 1 oil. Right now it's both hexolite and a legendary sphere factory for me. So it's just a spot I go to in between. Like, you got the oil rig over there. So just in between oil rig runs, I tend to just end up here when I'm using the Dassy Thundercloud, and then I queue up the assembly lines and the crushers and stuff, and you have your little sphere factory here. Then you got the oil node. Over here is 1 hexolite, and here is 1 hexolite. So this is also a good spot, pretty flat. You can build some foundations and using roofs to cover the water to get some more building space. And then there's no enemy pals that I've seen on this little beach here. So you can go here like at any time really and start building up your base and building up a stash of hexolite. And then at level 50, you build your first oil extractors here. And then this spot right here is the last spot I'm going to be showing. It's also a double hexolite base with 1 oil node. And then it has this little bit of an annoying rock in the middle. But you probably don't like build on the entire space. You can build around this rock, but it is also a good option. It's pretty close to a fast travel point here on Scorched Hill. So that's just another option for you to build 1 oil node and get some hexolite going as well. It's probably important for you to get like hexolite going, since you can only have like 2 or 3 in a base. It adds up quite slowly. So building a base in one of these locations is pretty nice, but there are some enemy pals around here. You probably want to be using this location if you're going at a low level. And if you're going at level 50, you'll be fine here on a multiplayer save as well, if all the good spots are taken. So that's it for this part. For the next part, I'm going to be covering more late game stuff like triple base locations and just places where you can build multiple bases close to each other. Yeah, this is what I mean with angry pals around. The next part is more for like end game stuff, building close together for render distance stuff. A little bit more covering hexolite and the options around Feybreak. But for now, thanks for watching.